The human vessel Odysseus glided through the vast emptiness, a solitary silhouette against the glittering canvas of stars. Its hull an intricate patchwork of reinforced alloys and adaptive shielding reflected distant suns like scattered shards of glass. Commander Aisha Malik stood on the bridge's panoramic viewport, the chill of the recycled air humming through her uniform. A veteran of deep space surveys, she had seen nebulae blossoming with color and planets wreathed in hurricane force storms, but nothing thrilled or unnerved her quite like the unknown. "Course is stable," announced Lieutenant Ryo Tanaka at the helm, his fingers dancing over the holo controls. "We're entering Epsilon Eridani's outer asteroid Belton. T-minus 2 minutes." Behind him, technicians monitored seismic activity in the rocky field, an eclectic mix of ice metal fragments tumbling in gravitational ballet. The mission was simple: chart potential mineral resources and catalog any anomalies. What they didn't expect, however, was to be interrupted so soon. Suddenly, lights flickered across the bridge as the ship's comm array crackled to life. "Commander, I'm picking up a transmission," said Communications Officer Priya Desai, eyes flicking up from her console. "Signals inbound on an unregistered frequency, complex modulation." Aisha turned. "Patch it through." "Priya, let's see who's reaching out in the dark." The static coalesced into a chorus of harmonics and otherworldly melody that morphed effortlessly into words. The tones were neither male nor female, but an intricate weave of frequencies that tickled the neural interface implants of every crew member. Voice over intercom: "Humans of Earth, we observe your nascent steps with fond amusement." A murmur rippled through the bridge. Deputy Commander Luis Silva leaned forward, brow furrowed. "Amusement? That's unexpected." Aisha's pulse quickened. "Unknown vessel, this is Commander Malik of the Odysseus. Identify yourselves." The voice hesitated, then spoke again, its cadence shifting, as if tasting the human vocal patterns. "Voice, we are the Rethic Collective. You trespass in realms beyond your comprehension. Your curiosity entertains us." Lieutenant Tanaka's console chimed. An object had blinked into their long-range scanners. A shimmering distortion, barely perceptible, wavered against the starfield some 30,000 kilometers distant. It was as if space itself had folded, then flattened in mid-vacuum. "Commander, I'm not detecting a conventional hull signature," Tanaka reported. "No mass, no thermal emissions, just an energy gradient." Aisha's eyes narrowed. "Impossible technology." Priya, record everything. Silva, have engineering analyze that energy gradient, see if we can replicate the scan. "On it," Silva replied, turning to his station. The bridge crew worked with feverish precision, but before they could glean further data, the distortion winked out, vanishing as abruptly as it had appeared. The comm ray fell silent, leaving behind an eerie vacuum of sound. "Did it leave?" whispered Ensign Martinez, the youngest on the crew. Aisha closed her eyes for a moment, steadying herself. "Perhaps, or perhaps it merely observed and withdrew." "Lieutenant, do we have any response?" "It's gone, Commander," Priya said softly. "No return transmission." Silence reigned for a beat, until Aisha's voice broke through. "Very well. Continue on our survey. Maintain heightened sensors for any less conventional contacts." As the Odysseus resumed its path, the mood aboard shifted from curiosity to cautious tension. In the mess hall later that cycle, small clusters of crew exchanged theories over recycled protein rations and artificial coffee. "They said they found us amusing," muttered Tactical Officer Graves, swirling his coffee substitute in a styrofoam cup. "Like we're children playing with toy rockets." Science Officer Dr. Lena Park tapped at her datapad. "If their cloaking relies on higher dimensional folding, our scans might only ever scratch the surface. They could be blinking in and out across multiple planes of existence." A murmur of awe passed around the table. The very idea of beings existing partially out of phase with our universe was enough to make even the most hardened officers lean. Enclosure up on the bridge, Aisha stood alone before the viewport, watching the asteroid belt's icy rocks drift past. Every glint on the horizon reminded her of the veiled presence they had just encountered. Unseen watchers hidden in the folds of space. "Commander," came Silva's voice in her earpiece. Preliminary analysis suggests their quantum displacement signature is unprecedented. If we could reverse engineer even a fragment, they're not here to trade tech, Aisha replied, her tone grim. They're watching us, waiting. We have to assume they know more about us than we ever will about them. A distant flash on the sensors pulled her focus back to duty. New anomalies flickered across the calm matrix echoes of the Erethic's melody, faint but persistent. The message was clear. First contact was not an event, but an opening salvo in a conversation humanity barely understood. Taking a deep breath, Aisha tapped her calm badge. All hands, report to battle stations in 5 minutes. Full sensor sweep, and patch me through to Earth Command. Tell them we've met the collective. Let them decide what comes next. The bridge sprang to life, consoles humming with urgency. As the Odysseus pivoted toward the next survey sector, Commander Malik felt the weight of billions of eyes, some human, many more alien, fixed upon them. The galaxy had just grown a little smaller, and the path ahead would demand every ounce of courage, ingenuity, and resolve they possessed. Above them, hidden in the emptiness, the Erethic watched and waited. The Erethic's departure from Epsilon Eridani was only the beginning of humanity's unintended debut. On the galactic stage, within hours of the shimmering distortion's vanishing act, every major news outlet on Earth carried grainy Hollywood clips captured by the Odysseus. Yet while Earth's population gawked in awe and apprehension, the rest of the galaxy erupted in scorn. One galaxy-wide Satiri ambassador Sarlveen of the Shulrayak's trade syndicate hosted a live broadcast before his Senate chamber, every crystalline facet of his carapace glinting with amusement. Behold, the Earthlings waving their primitive flags at what did they call it? Ah yes, the Rethic Collective. They think themselves worthy of interstellar recognition. The chamber roared with laughter. Holoscreens round the galaxy replay the Erethic's parting quip underscore. Your curiosity entertains us, underscore, as catchphrases, ringtones, even nightclub anthems. Online forums buzzed with gleeful mockery, memes of Earth as a juvenile circus. Entire fashion lines inspired by the Erethic's prismatic hues. In the Orion Nebula sector, veteran explorer Jade Starshard Reyes sighed as she watched the latest holo comedy special. They treat Earth like a sideshow. But mark my words, any species that can build a warp breaker cloak and vanish on a whim isn't just passing through. Yet her warning went unheeded after all. How could anyone take seriously a world that still hashed out its politics in shouting matches on planet-wide social media boards? 2. Political backlash on Earth and Earth. The laughter hurt perhaps more than the unknown threat. In the United Earth Council's circular chamber, banners representing every federation of nations hung overhead. The usual diplomatic decorum dissolved into heated debate. Chinese delegate Li Wen, they mock our lineage and our progress. We must respond in kind, show them we are not to be trifled with. European Union envoy Sophia Muller, a militaristic posture could escalate unnecessarily. We should pursue further dialogue if they wish to entertain us. Let us play along until we understand their motives. African Confederation representative Kofi Ngolo, they call us children. But who among us is truly the fool? Let them laugh. Our unity in the face of derision will be our greatest retort. President Signia Rhymes listened quietly, steepling her fingers on her televisor. The Erethic communique was displayed in 7 alien scripts. The planet Earth exhibits remarkable self-delusion. We shall allow them their childish games until they outgrow the cradle of their own making. Rhymes rose, voice steady and measured. Galactic opinion means nothing if we let it define us. They have underestimated our resolve. We will answer mockery with ingenuity, derision with determination. Let Earth move forward together. 3. The fires of innovation within days. A new energy sparked across the global scientific community. Research institutes threw open their doors to unexpected collaborators, independent engineers, ex-military tacticians, and young prodigies who had grown up on holo games and interplanetary lore. At the International Orbital Shipyard, an immense ring circling Earth's geostationary belt, teams toiled beneath artificial suns. Dr. Elna Park, chief of Xenotech Analysis, oversaw students reverse engineering the Erethic's quantum displacement signature. These aren't just cloaking fields, she explained to her team. They're subspace phase modulators. If we can decode the harmonic frequencies, we might replicate a limited version to mask our fleet or even confuse their long-range sensors. Meanwhile, at the Lunar Manufacturing Complex, engineers forged a new composite armor, Titan. We've infused with nanolattices that reassembled themselves under plasma bombardment. Night shifts in the Martian regolith excavation mines tested refractory alloys that could withstand the heat of sustained fusion drives on Earth's surface. At the United Defense Academy in New Cape Town, cadets drilled under synthetic gravity fields. Valkyria interceptor simulators projected Erethic skimmers in high-velocity dogfights. Heavy weapons specialists learned to calibrate railgun barrels to fire with zero tolerance for warp drift. 4. Unity against Odysseys. The civilian sphere felt the shift. Viral campaigns once dominated by dancing holo creatures and silly prankster and solemn laugh back became a slogan etched on everything from protest banners in New Delhi to street-side murals in Buenos Aires. In New York's Times Square, a massive holo mural displayed real-time data feeds from the defense projects orbiting above. Thousands gathered daily, applauding prototype launches and sending cheers across the ComNet. Social media influencers abandoned triviality, posting footage of railgun tests and interviews with frontline engineers. One by one, Earth's populace became participants in a collective challenge, reclaim their dignity not through words, but through achievement. 5. Shadows of doubt and resolve it beneath the outward confidence. A current of uncertainty ran deep. Conspiracy theorists whispered of secret pacts with other alien races. Black market arms dealers sought to sell Erethic tech to rogue militias. A small but vocal minority urged caution. Perhaps this was exactly what the Erethic wanted. Division. In a dimly lit pub on Europa's ice tunnels, EX pilots and code crackers huddled over mugs of synthetic hops. Jax Moran, they laugh because we're predictable, scramble for weapons whenever confronted. What if the real lesson is to surprise them in a way they can't anticipate? Tara Shen, you mean psychological warfare? Disinformation campaigns? No, Jax, we're not them. Our strength lies in unity. Look at what we've done in just 3 short weeks. Moran sighed, dragging his glass. I hope you're right, because if they return, and they will, the charade of progress could crumble if fear wins the day. 6. The calm before the storm as Earth's new defenses took form. The galaxy watched on with bated breath. Humble frigates and refurbished carriers departed from Earth orbit, bound for strategic positions throughout the Eridani cluster. Valkyria wings assembled in the pale blue fleet's hangars. Jovian outposts rang with the hum of gravitic disruptor charging. At the United Earth Council, Rhymes addressed the assembly once more. We have turned their mockery into our catalyst. Soon they will see laughter fades. Resolve endures. Let them underestimate us no longer. Beyond the Council's domed chamber, across countless worlds, the ripples of Earth's defiance spread. The Erethic might have expected nothing more than a brief spectacle. Instead, they had ignited a transformation, a planet risen from youthful naivety to purposeful ambition. And somewhere in the dark reaches of the void, the collective watched, their prismatic sensors trained on Earth. A new page in galactic history was being written, and humanity was no longer content to be mere footnotes. The Martian sky burned a pale orange as the first scouts of the Erethic raiding flotilla slipped back into the system. From the vantage of Phobos Station's observation decks, they looked like living fractals, shifting shards of light that slithered through the void, oblivious to conventional geometry. Their arrival set off alarms across the inner planets, rippling through every command center from Luna Base to the orbital docks above Earth. 1. Mobilizing the High Command Admiral, Naveen Prahlad stood on the bridge of the Lemeter, his gaze fixed on the holo grid that displayed incoming enemy vectors. The curved display glowed with Red Arc's 6 skimmers in pincer formation, 3 dreadnought cradlers bristling with support drones. His staff officers hovered behind him, their faces tense under the cold light. Status report, he commanded. Lieutenant-Commander Sarah Kim, Tactical Operations Officer, tapped her datapad. Enemy skimmers are attempting a high-speed flank at 0.8 C. Their cradlers remain outside our railgun effective range. Providing overwatch with plasma spotters, she traced a glowing line. Their objective: disrupt our mining platforms on Deimos and force our orbital units into defensive postures. Prolid rubbed his chin. We expected harassment tactics, but not such a surgical strike. They're sending a message. He turned to communications. Patch me through to United Earth Command. Moments later, Admiral Elena Vargas's face appeared in a holo window, her expression grave. Naveen, we've got civilians streaming to bunkers on Earth. Public panic is rising, pressures building to stand down. The Lemeter's calm officer coughed. Admiral, civilian transmissions requesting evacuation of Martian colonies are at 15-minute intervals. Prolid took a breath. Understood. We cannot afford to abandon our outposts, not now. Sarah, vector our cruisers to interpose between the skimmers and Deimos. Activate the Phantom Net and deploy the graviton bubble disruptors. Let's show them how we respond to an insult on our home turf. Aye, sir. Kim's eyes gleamed. All wings to launch bays in 5 minutes. Interceptors and heavy bombers stand by. Vargas's projection flickered. Be advised, the Aegis won't be ready for another 24 hours. You're on your own until then. Do not engage beyond your rules of engagement. Keep this contained. Prolid nodded, though his jaw tightened. We'll hold the line or two. The Valkyria wings and Leviathan squadrons down in the cavernous hangar bays of the Newton. Pilots suited up in crimson-trimmed flight jackets. The Valkyria interceptors gleamed. Under the lights, sleek needle ships built for speed and agility. Nearby, the bulkier Leviathan heavy bombers awaited their crews. Massive payload bays yawning open like mechanical jaws. Pilot Lieutenant Marco Alvarez ran a finger along his ship's nose. Remember the simulations, team. These skimmers can phase shift around plasma nets. We need to bait them into the bubble disruptors. Draw them through our kill zones. His co-pilot, Lieutenant Jenna Cross, checked her helmet systems. Once our railguns open up, keep formation tight. Don't let them scatter us. Alvarez grinned beneath his visor. And try not to let your holo hairdo distract me this time. Cross, a ripple of laughter ran through the flight deck, easing the tension. But as they climbed aboard, every pilot knew that the laughter might be the last comfortable moment. They shared before the Battle.3, Engineering Feats, and Final Preparations Manual. In the engineering heart of the orbital shipyards, Chief Engineer Dalia Santos oversaw the final tests on the graviton bubble emitters. Technicians in exoskeletal suits monitored the gravity modulation coils, ensuring the superconductor matrices held under full charge. We've calibrated the phase offset modulator to disrupt skimmer cloaks within a 3-kilometer radius, Santos explained to her deputy. Once the Violet Squadron draws them in, the skimmers will flare back into visibility. No more surprise knife attacks. Her deputy, Lieutenant Tariq Yusuf, frowned. But the Cradler's point defense will shred our interceptors if we don't maintain precision. We need coordinated strikes, Valkyries as bait, Leviathans as hammer. Santos nodded, tapping a console. I've synchronized the bubble pulses with railgun bursts. The timing window is narrow, 0.7 seconds, but if our pilots follow the protocol, it'll work. A soft chime signaled all systems online. Santos exhaled, brushing a lock of hair from her face. Launch checks are green. All that remains is execution. 4. The clash above Marsat 1730 for hours Martian Standard Time. The fleet moved into position. The Lemeter and Curie formed a pincer, their magnetic railguns humming with ion charge. Valkyria squadrons streamed out like metallic swallows. Leviathans drifted into higher orbit, weapons bays ready. Then, like shards of fractured starlight, the Erethic skimmers dove from beyond the Martian dawn. At first, they were invisible, only the faintest ripples in the cosmic background betrayed their approach. But as they breached the graviton bubble net, their cloaks collapsed in fractal flares. Earth's railguns opened up in synchronized volleys. Tracer slugs tearing through the void at 15% the speed of light. Explosions blossomed against the black, punctuated by plasma bursts from human escorts. Crosshair reticles locked. On target, tactical AI feed labeled every Erethic hull signature in seconds. The Newton's comms crackled with pilot voices, Alvarez Valkyria 12, bait engaged. They're in the bubble. Now, Leviathans, hammer time. Cross Valkyria 13, engines burning but their phase shifts still come through. Keep the disruptors active from the heavier orbit. The Leviathans unleashed missile salvos armed with flux capacitor warheads, designed to destabilize the skimmer's subspace matrices. The effect was instantaneous. Skimmers flickered and imploded, their fragments collapsing into void dust. The mood on the Lemeter bridge soared briefly. Then the cradlers moved in, unleashing support drones and piercing plasma lances. Human ships strained under the concentrated fire. Shields flared and sagged like wounded leviathans. Prolid barked orders: spread formation, point defense, online, Valkyries, break off and target the cradler drones on the comms. Kim's calm clarity cut through the chaos. Adaptive patterns, pilots. Use the wedge brake maneuvers we drilled, don't bunch up. Despite the adrenaline, every human vessel responded with precision born of weeks of frantic training. Plasma lances curved around debris, intercepted by point defense grids. Valkyries danced along kill corridors. Leviathans unleashed secondary volleys to pick off residual drones. 5. Turning the Tadagist when it seemed the Erethic might overwhelm the flanks. The Martian horizon shimmered with a gravitational distortion. From the direction of Phobos Station, a colossal form emerged, the Titan-class warship Aegis. Its arrival reverberated through the fleet's communications network in a single electric note, automated broadcast, Titan-class online. All units coordinate with Aegis targeting arrays. Every human gun platform linked to the Aegis fire control net. Railguns adjusted trajectories in real time. Bubble emitters modulated precisely around the warship's gravity wake. Moments later, the first salvo of the Aegis supercoil cannons burst into the flak-strewn sky-red-white beams, carving through the Erethic cradler formations. The effect was devastating. Cradler hulls groaned and buckled as super intense energy ruptured their quantum cores. Support drones, caught in the overpressure, spiraled apart. Without their cradlers shielding, the remaining skimmers lost cohesion under sustained railgun barrages. Moments later, silence reigned, broken only by the distant hiss of cooling superconductor coils and the low thrum of human engines powering down to standby. 6. Aftermath and reflection in the aftermath. Survivors on all sides drifted in eerie calm. The Lemeter's decks reverberated with footsteps as damaged teams assessed hull breaches and freed trapped crew. Lieutenant Commander Kim deactivated her helmet, breathing heavily. "I've never been more proud," she said quietly to Prolid, who had stepped onto the deck behind her. He placed a hand on her shoulder. "Today, we proved we're no mere curiosity." His gaze swept the fleet arrayed beyond the viewport, scarred but unbeaten. "We showed the Erethic what humanity can achieve when we stand as one." Far below, Mars watched in silent redemption, its dust storms undisturbed, and high above, hidden watchers in the void recorded every volley, every strategic maneuver. Earth had answered mockery with resolve, disdain with unity, and seen through the veil of laughter to find the spark that would flood the galaxy with a new, elemental truth. Never underestimate a world that refuses to bow. In the glowing aftermath, as the Martian sun dipped behind the horizon, Commander Malik's voice echoed across the comms: "All units, prepare for raid deployment. This war is far from over, but tonight, we celebrate our first, hard-earned step." And somewhere in the dark, folded dimensions, the Erethic collective reconsidered their verdict on humanity. The war above Mars had turned in humanity's favor, but the final act was yet to be written. Deep in the orbital shipyards, at the heart of the United Earth Fleet's construction slip, the Titan-class warship Aegis lay hidden in its clamshell. Its true power still dormant. 1. The beacon ignites in the cavernous Drydic. Chief Engineer Dahlia Santos stood beneath the vessel's immense belly, her eyes fixed on the gravitic core's containment ring. Technicians in magnetically stabilized harnesses monitored readouts on floating holopanels. Santos into comm, reactor integrity at 97%. Quantum flux stabilizers are within nominal thresholds. All systems green for activation. A low rumble reverberated through the steel catwalks. As the Singularity reactor came to life, a pale blue glow bled through service grates. illuminating the massive supercoil cannons that ran along the Aegis dorsal spine. Engineers sealed bulkheads and evacuated the dock, leaving the vessel to awaken in solitude. Above the noise of the shipyard, President Signia Rhymes addressed a global broadcast from Earth Command. Citizens of Earth, tonight we stand on the cusp of a new era. Our Titan-class vessel is preparing to join the fight. Let our adversaries know we will not cower behind mockery. We carry with us the hopes of every soul on this world, too. Rising through the Phobos catements later, in the void beyond Phobos Station, Fleet Admiral Naveen Prahlad hovered in his command shuttle. He watched as the Aegis slipped free from its dock, magnetic clamps releasing with thunderous echoes in the vacuum. An escort of Valkyria interceptors and Leviathan bombers formed a protective screen around the colossal warship. Prahlad over. "Com, Aegis, this is Lemeter. You are clear to engage slipstream drive on my mark. Let's give the collective something they won't forget." On the bridge of the Aegis, Captain Elena Vargas rose from her command chair as the gravitic engines flared to life. The ship shuddered against the invisible strains of bending space. Vargas's hand hovered over the interlink button. "Vargas, all wings, stand by. On my count 3, 2, 1 now." The Aegis vanished in a flash of warped starlight, reappearing above the Martian battlefield in an instant. Its rival signaled by a shockwave that rippled through the void and washed over the human fleet like a rolling tide of gravity. 3. The hammer falls above Deimos. The remaining Erethic forces regrouped, their fractal skimmers weaving defensive patterns round the crippled cradlers. Unprepared for the sudden appearance of a Titan-class vessel, they faltered from the Aegis bow. The supercoil cannons powered up, crystalline barrels glowing with iridescent energy. Vargas keyed her microphone. "Vargas, target the Erethic flagship. Saber rays on standby fire. When ready." Simultaneously, railguns across the human fleet synchronized with the Aegis gravitic targeting matrix. A volley of ion-charged projectiles and graviton tunneling beams converged on the Erethic command vessel. The flagship buckled under the combined strike, its hull folding inward as subspace fractures rippled outward. Sheared into motes of broken light, the Erethic flagship collapsed in on itself, leaving a radiant trail that drifted slowly through the void. The remaining skimmers, bereft of their command node, scattered in disarray. 4. The last flicker as the solar winds carried the wreckage away. The Erethic collective's holographic emblem, a shifting mosaic of prismatic symbols, flickered above. The battlefield, a single voice, cold and resonant, crackled through all channels. "Erethic High Council, Earth. You have demonstrated potential beyond expectation. We yield for now." In the human fleet, cheers erupted. Valkyria pilots whooped over open comms, admirals exchanged triumphant salutes. Yet amidst the jubilation, Aisha Malik sensed a cautious note in the alien communique, a recognition that humanity had crossed an unseen threshold. 5. Surrender and reckoning. Gabe Mars, the surviving Erethic emissary, its form now projected as 100 dancing lights drifted alongside the Lemeter. Commander Malik approached the viewing port, her reflection merging with the alien glow. "Emissary, we misjudged you, humans of Earth. Your resolve has reshaped our calculations. We offer terms of armistice and exchange techniques for stabilized wormhole transit in return for shared research on your gravitic arrays." Malik hesitated. Memories of the mocking broadcasts and the cost in lives weighed heavy. Yet a diplomat's voice spoke through her. "Malik, we accept your terms, but let it be known that Earth will no longer stand helpless before those who would belittle us. We enter this covenant as equals." The lights pulsed in accord, a silent vow that the galaxy would never again see Earth as a mere spectacle. 6. A new dawn on the surface of Olympusman's base. Billions watched the live feed as the Erethic surrender was formalized in orbital treaty chambers. President Rhymes declared, "Today, we stride from the laughter of strangers into the council of civilizations. Let our achievement remind all worlds, underestimate humanity at your peril." In the aftermath, joint research stations were established. At Lagrange points, scientists from Earth and the Erethic working side by side. Engineers reverse-engineered subspace navigators. Diplomats drafted new protocols for interspecies cooperation. And aboard the Aegis, Captain Vargas and Admiral Prahlad stood on the viewing deck, gazing at the pale blue sphere below. Vargas, what comes next? Prahlad smiling, whatever. We choose. The universe just got a lot bigger and Earth has earned her seat among the stars. As the first human Erethic research vessel slipped through a nascent wormhole, Commander Malik whispered into the comm, Malik, all units, stand down combat status. We have won more than a battle, we have won respect. Prepare for our next journey. Above them, the void lay open, no longer a place of timid beginnings, but of limitless horizons. The galaxy had laughed once. Now, the laughter was ours. End of Chapter 4.